I'm going to apologize, Riley, since Liam's not here, you're going to be my go-to guy today. Okay, so Riley, I would probably say that domain and range are used at least every other day. Is that fair to say? Yeah. Okay. So domain and range is relatively important in this course, I think. So this parabola starts at 3 and 4 and opens downwards. What's the domain is the span of the x values. What are the possible x values for a parabola? Yeah, go ahead.
Maybe the squiggly bracket x and the line x dr.
Very good. What does that mean in English? What does that mean in English?
It means like it could be any number.
There is no limit to the x values of a parabola. Okay, they can go on forever and ever and ever. And if you don't believe me, for like x squared, you can plug in like 10 squared or 100 squared or a million squared or a zillion squared, you will actually still get a number. All right, here's a trickier one. Can I get a second volunteer? Tell me what the range of that is going to be. Second volunteer, please. Go ahead.
Range is the squiggly bracket y, and then the line y is less than or equal to 4.
Good.
And then dr.
Good. So y is, again, it's at any possible y value has to be less than or equal to 4. Like it's 4 or smaller, right? Can somebody tell me what that Y-ER means in English? Real number, good. But as far as the graph, how can you tell looking at that graph that they're going to be real numbers? Well, I was going to say because they're lines instead of points. Okay, right? Because if you take a look, like 3.8 fits on here, right? Which is a decimal, like every single real number, every single decimal fits in there. All right, letter B is one that I hope you guys got. This is like from the homework from Friday. It says draw a graph that has x is greater than or equal to 1, and y is less than 1, and y is anything. This one's a little bit tricky, so I'm going to take a little bit of time to do this. I mean, it's just rough on the paper here. This isn't the best graph I've ever seen, but that's okay. There's 1, there's 2, there's 0, -1, -2. Y, there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4, there's x, -2, -1. Okay. Let's just talk about how we would possibly draw this. So somebody translate, other than those two volunteers that we had, what does that domain stand for in English? What does this stand for? What does somebody translate that in English? What does that mean?
So something x is greater than or equal to 1.
Good. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put a little line here at 1. Oh, goodness, that should be a straight line. The x values only have to be that way. Okay, so for this graph, x can only be on that side of 1. Okay, you don't actually have to draw that arrow if you don't need to, but that's what I'm trying to say. X is just on that side. Can someone else please tell me what this means for the range? Oh, this is going to be a long year. This is where Spider-Man comes in. Summer, go ahead. Good. So what I'm also going to do here in green is I'm going to say, here's 1, and they'll also be below that. Can somebody give me an idea of how I would draw a graph that is going on infinitely that way and then also going on infinitely downwards? How can I draw a graph that would look like that? Oh goodness. Straight line. Straight line would work perfectly, okay? So what I'm going to do is a straight line with a little addendum, and I'm going to put the vertex or the end point of the straight line here at 1 and 1. So there's a point of 1 and 1. I'm just going to go down like that, okay? That point has to be included of 1, 1, all right? If you wanted to get creative and do this sort of shape, that'll work as well as long as there's an arrow on the end. Okay, I'm going to erase that because I don't want to do that one. Okay, right? But as long as there has to be an arrow on the end, because the arrow on the end shows infinity, right? Like it shows that it goes on forever and ever and ever. Does that make any sense what just happened? Okay, we're going to talk more about these domains and ranges a lot in the next 2 weeks. A lot. Jennifer's just coming back at all? No. Not at all. You're honest, Elise, so it's good. Okay.
Yeah, maybe the review would be greater than this.
Yes. Not today. That's going to be tomorrow. I think we'll do that. Okay. Excuse me. Can I borrow your piece of paper from yesterday? Do you have that?
Yeah, I do.
Question sheet? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take up number 8. Hopefully, the page. There we go. Yeah. 8 and 16 I'll do. Okay, so this is from yesterday. Okay, so number 8 here says determine the values of k so that y equals 3x plus k intersects y equals 2x squared minus 5x plus 3 at exactly 1 point. And I'm going to put this down and I'll grab that back. Okay? Now, note that said y of f of x and g of x and stuff like that. We don't know what that is yet. I'm just telling you what that stuff is today. I just got out of order because since I wasn't here yesterday. Okay, the first part of my lesson yesterday talked about something with 2 intersections, 1 intersection, and no intersection. If you flip back to yesterday's note, how do you get 1 intersection? Because that's what we're saying here, just to intersect at 1 point. How would you get 1 intersection? Bailey, go ahead. Yeah, good. Right, the square root has to be 0. So what has to happen is we're going to say b squared minus 4ac has to equal 0. And that's like your quadratic formula thing. Okay, that will give you one solution. And what I said yesterday, and hopefully you got it on the note, right? We had the parabola with the line with 2 intersections. That would be like a positive answer, because that would be plus and a minus. If it equals 0, there's no plus or minus, it's plus or minus 0, so there's one answer. And if it's negative in the square root, there's no solution, which is okay. Okay, so we have to find k so that when we solve b squared minus 4ac, it does in fact equal 0. All right, so let's do that right now. Should we bring Spider-Man back? You guys hate Spider-Man. Okay, I'll go without Spider-Man today. We'll see. I'm going to sort of pick on people for a while, and then I'll say, okay, people can raise their hands again, okay? So I'm going to open this up to anyone here. If I find the intersection of a line and a curve, what's the very first thing I have to do? You guys say you didn't want Spider-Man, and no one raised their hands, okay? How do you find the intersection of 2 lines?
You could do y equals 1.
Very good, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to say y equals y. So I'm going to say 2x squared minus 5x plus 3 equals 3x plus k. Okay, so what I did was, if the y's are the same, then the other half. This is like substitution back from grade 9 or grade 10, I hope. Okay, thank you. Can I get another volunteer, please, to tell me what I do next? Yeah, Bailey, go ahead. Good. So I'm going to call this 2x squared minus 5x. I'm going to call that minus 3x. Then I'm going to call that plus 3. Then I'm going to call that minus k. And that equals 0. Okay, Bailey, you're not done yet. Why did you have to move everything across so you have it equal 0? It always has to when you're solving, right? Like we want to use, this came from the quadratic formula, right? That's where this actually came from. So in order to do the quadratic formula, any, parabola has to equal 0. I'm not quite done here. I got to neaten this up a little bit. Can I get a third volunteer, please? So volunteer tell me I'm neatening up. Brad, go.
Would you rather negative 5x and negative 3?
Very good. Okay, so it changes to 2x squared, negative 8x, plus 3 minus k equals 0. Okay, now this is the tricky part. Hopefully everyone got there. But I'm hoping up to here we're all good. This is the magical leap of faith right now. And someone I'm picking on you, because we talked about this already. I'm going to sub this in my quadratic formula. As you think of what the answer is going to be, I'm going to write the quadratic formula for the class. I know I'm not going to actually. I'm going to write b squared minus 4ac equals 0. That's what I'm going to write for the class. Because that's what we said we actually needed here. All right, Summer, no pressure. What is the a going to be, what's the b going to be, and what's the c going to be? Holy moly. Okay, I'll explain to you hopefully where she got that from. Remember, a is the coefficient from the x squared term. That's where a comes from. Okay? B is going to be the coefficient from the x term. And then c is going to be just the number that's left over. So even though there's messy stuff there, it's not just plain old a number, right? You can have a variable in there as well. Okay, are we okay on the logic of that last step there? Okay, because that was the tricky part for this for sure. Okay. All right, can I get a fourth volunteer to sub that into my equation? Tell me how to solve this. Yeah, go ahead.
So it'd be negative a squared negative 4 times 2 times the negative k.
Great, tremendous, wonderful. Okay, can I get someone that's a human calculator to human calculate that for me? What is negative 8 squared? Can I have a volunteer, please? 64. And I'm going to write that as 8 times 3 negative 24 plus 8k equals 0. That's just algebra there. I hope I didn't break any laws. Austin, how are we doing? Okay. Austin, since you gave me a thumbs up. Can you tell me what 64 minus 24 is, please? 40. I got someone quiet that would never raise their hand. Robin, can you solve for k for us, please? Okay, and? Great. So k equals negative 5. That was a little tricky. Again, the thought is just that the C part, right, is like the number. Like, so the A part is connected to x squared, the B is connected to x, the C is the number part, and there just happens to be 2 parts to the number part there. Okay, someone okay? We're somewhat feeling all right about the world? No comment means keep going. Yes. Or you're totally lost. Those are 2 options. Nothing? Okay. You guys aren't going to talk? I'm going to keep talking here then. This is 16 on the same page. It says, determine the equation of the line that passes through the intersection points of blah, 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 blah. Do you need me to find, you guys found the points already? And I just need to show you the line? Is that, can I do that? Okay. What'd you get for the points for that? What are the points? Yeah. 2 and 0 was the second point? What's that one? Go ahead.
What? I don't know if mine's right or not.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, what's the second?
0, but that's, yep.
What's the second one? Try to work it out. Try to just work this out. All right, we'll work this out. All right, since nobody's confident here.
You get negative 3 over 2 and then negative 9.
Okay, I'm going to do this one out since people are scared here, okay? It says y equals x squared minus 4 and y equals negative 3x squared plus 2x plus 8. And then we want to make an equation out of the intersection points. All right, now I'm just going to say here, that last part, making an equation from 2 points, you're going to have to do in calculus when you get there next year. Okay, like this is like a common question, like you're given to find some solutions, you got to find the equation for yourself. I actually taught this to my grade 10 reviewed it today too, not today, yesterday I wasn't there. All right, so this is something that you can't just forget about, you will need to do this. Okay, let's start with the intersection part. Those people that already answered last time, you're out of luck this time, so the quiet 3/4 of the class have to start volunteer. What's the first step? Y equals x squared minus 4, y equals negative 3x squared plus 2x plus 8. I need someone to be brave to volunteer. Go ahead.
Negative 3x squared plus 2x plus 8
Yeah.
equals x squared plus 4.
I'm going to do it the other way, but that's right. I'm just going to do it that way because I can shift everything over to the left so it's easier. Okay. So when I move everything over to the left, that changes to plus 3x squared, and then minus 2x, minus 8, and then minus 4 equals 0. Okay, so you can see what I did there, right? Everything on the right is flipped left. Switched its signs to go to the left. Okay, can somebody be brave and neaten that up for me, please? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Okay. Okay, before we continue, so I don't need to upset. I'm going to calm down and say cool down. When you see 4x squared minus 2x minus 12 equals 0, what should you instantly be thinking of as a grade 12 student? Go ahead. Yeah, what? what's the first factor thing I should do instantly? Okay, go ahead.
Can you take out the -2?
And I'm gonna take out 2 instead of -2, right? If you had it on the other side, it'd be -2. So I'm just gonna divide everything by 2. And that can actually drop to 2 because it divides both sides by 2. But you're exactly right, we are gonna factor this one right now. Can someone's show that? Have I mentioned that I started yet? What are somebody show me how to factor this one, please. Oh, the quiet many. Someone from the quiet many, raise your hand, please. I looked at all your report cards. Everyone in this class had a 90 plus in grade 10. I'm just joking, not everyone. Mostly. Okay, except for you, everyone else did. Okay, good. What's the M and what's the A? Come on. Okay, Tristan. Thank you for volunteering. What's the M? What's the A here, please?
I didn't know, I already said something.
Okay, Spider-Man's coming out during today's lesson because this is pathetic. Come on, somebody raise their hand. -12 and -1, what are the two numbers? Yeah, go ahead.
-4 plus 3.
Thank you. 2x squared -4x plus 3x minus 6 equals 0. 2x x minus 2 plus 3x minus 2 equals 0. X minus 2 x plus 3 equals 0. X equals 2. X equals -3. Now, if you did this on the quadratic formula, you should have probably got the same answer. I think if you did, right? And that's cool. Okay, quadratic formula works. I have no issue with it. Just this is 100 times faster, and you don't need to worry about pluses and minuses and all that fun stuff. Okay. Are we okay before I continue on that? That's just factoring. That's all that is. Yeah, go ahead.
So if we did simplify it first, we got -4x -6, would that be wrong? It's wrong with that.
No. It's not completely factor. I say factor fully.
Okay.
But if you're just finding the roots, yeah, that'd be fine. Although I'd probably say divide to make it easier, that's probably right. Because we're only get to big numbers now. Okay, so I'm only half done. How do I get my y values now? Yeah, go ahead.
You have to sub the x values into one of the equations.
Right. I'm going to choose to sub it into the first one. Y, and this can go to anyone, Y would make a lot more sense to sub to the first one rather than the second one.
Less terms.
Yeah, there's less terms. There's only one thing to sub it into, the x squared. Right? If you sub it into the right, there's negatives here. It's a mess here. Okay. So on the left, I'm going to go then. Y equals 2 squared minus 4, so y equals 0. So this point is 2, 0. Here it's going to be y equals -3 over 2 squared minus 4. Oh boy. Hopefully we're okay with that logic. Okay, so making the equation is going to be the next part now. Okay, we're going all the way back to grade 9 here for this, and I apologize. I only taught 2 of you in this class, I think, in grade 9. Okay, so you'll just go back in the time 100%. All right, if you're making an equation, you need 2 things. What are the 2 things you know? I'll open this back up to everyone here. What are the 2 things you need to make an equation? Go ahead.
And then the b.
Yeah, the slope and the y-intercept is what you need. How would you get the slope? I don't remember how slope comes. Robin, go ahead. Very good. Okay, so slope again, if you think back, is rise over run. And the physics definition or the math definition should be this right there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this x1 and y1. I'm going to call this x2 and y2. I always label the points as I go through, just so I don't accidentally make a mistake and don't label them, don't get them properly. Can I get someone to be brave now and to sub in those numbers in the equation for me? One person in the whole class remembers this. Usually young doesn't make sense. Some are built. Good. So -7/4 minus 0 divided divided by negative 3 over 2 minus 2. Is this coming back from grade 9? I'm seeing nothing from you guys here. This is going to be a long semester if you guys don't play along. Right? Does this look familiar to anybody?
Yeah.
Thank you. Good. 2 people. Thank you. I'm sorry. Okay, so let's do some fraction work then. So this is going to be, this turns into negative 7 over 4 divided by negative 3 over 2 minus 4 over 2. So this is negative 7 over 4 divided by negative 7 over 2. Are you okay on the logic for that? Oh, I'm seeing blank stares. That's all I'm seeing. Oh. Okay, can somebody tell me please how you divide fractions? Thank you. So this turns into negative 7 over 4 times 2 over negative 7. That turns into 14 over 28, which is 1/2, which is good. So their slope is 1/2. All right, now we got to get our y-intercept. There's many different ways to get it. I'm just going to do the y equals mx plus b thing. I'll extend the page here. And I'm going to say m equals 1/2, x equals 2, y equals 0. I'm going to say y equals mx plus b. 0 equals 1/2 times 2 plus b, 0 equals 1 plus b equals 2. So y equals 1/2 x minus 1. Please be brave and ask if there's questions, because there should be tons of questions. Okay? This is number 16, which means it was challenging. That's what it means. No? No questions?
You just subbed in one X and one Y coordinate, right?
Yeah. So what I just did, thank you, sorry. So what I did was, you could have chosen, thank you. I chose this as my X and my Y, because this number is nice and this number is awful, right? So you always try and pick the nicer numbers when you can. Okay. Somewhat clear? Jessica, how you feeling? Okay, I'm gonna stop. What's that? Okay, pause the video, let you guys flip this over, and then we'll start today's lesson. No, today I didn't know. I can do a triple check.